The goal of this video is to demonstrate what working on the MPC Live III is like. So I'm going to go in and make a beat from scratch and explain what I'm doing as I go. So this is not strictly a tutorial, but it's adjacent to a tutorial. Think of it as more of a demonstration and hopefully pick up some useful stuff as we go. So let's get into it. So I'm going to start off with a new project and I'm going to immediately do a couple things. I'm going to change this to 135. I'm going to start a new clip. And then I'm going to change this to 1 bar for now. Then I can hit load, and let's find some sounds. All right, so all of these sounds I've loaded in so far are from my $5 sample pack, linked below. And you can follow along if you would like. I'm going to go ahead and turn on full level for now. So no matter how soft or hard I hit this, it's the same velocity. I'm going to program in a kick, and this is just 1 bar, so that's what we get. And so this kick is tuned to F, so is this bass pluck. And now I want to mess with the way this sounds a little bit, because I have a bit of a plan, so we'll see if this actually works. I'm going to take velocity modulation for the amp and turn it off. So if I change the velocity of this note, it won't get any quieter or louder. I'm going to instead put the velocity modulation on the filter cutoff, and I'm going to put this on Model 2. So if I turn this down, let me turn up the depth on this. Also, this is already going to be like way too loud, so let me turn this down, or else I'm going to be clipping here. Let me put this back on full level. So I'm just going to start off by punching in notes to get like a rolling bass line. So far, so boring. So I'm going to mess with the velocity in a second because we've set ourselves up to do so. So I want to mute this kick real quick so that I can just hear this by itself. So there are a couple ways I can do that. I can either go to the mixer, and if I hit this again, you can have the pad mixer, and I can mute it from here. Or the way I find myself reaching for is using pad mute, which is here. So if I hold down set, this is basically like a shift button for the step sequencer. If I hold down set and then select pad mute, these numbers correspond to these pads. I kind of wish that there was a more grid mapped way to do it, but I can just look at the number of the pad. It's hard to see on camera here, but this is pad number 1. So I can just mute it. I'm going to go back to the drum sequencer for now. So let's hold this down. And remember, I have mapped my filter cutoff to velocity and only my filter cutoff to velocity. I don't want this to stick out too much. So I like this little section here, and I want to perpetuate it through the rest of this. So I could either like go to my grid and just like copy these bits, or I could do it in the step sequencer. And I think I'm just going to do it in the step sequencer. So this step goes here, and that velocity information carries over. And I'm pretty sure I do have to not hold down the copy button the whole time, if I recall correctly. Cool, that's something. So let me do some other stuff to this. I might try to give it a little more movement. I've been using ether a lot for that. Oh, that's kind of nice. I do want more delay though. Let me bring my kick back. That's kind of cool. I'm gonna roll with that for now. So for something like this, you can either use the mother ducker or the pumper to get it to duck to the kick. For something like this where the bass will probably never be playing without the kick, I just like using the pumper because it's simpler. It's a little more controllable. So I usually just turn up the depth and turn down the release. I feel like actually I need to feed that into something else. I almost want like a very standard reverb, and I've got a preset for this one. It brings it to life a little better. Let me just go back to edit here, turn this down a little bit. And I'm going to go to main here and just stick a limiter on the master, just while I'm still thinking about it. Turn this up a little bit. I don't actually want to get any gain reduction. I want to just to kiss it. And then I'm going to put the touch effects after. You'll notice I'm not really using main much. I mainly like using edit and the matrix, which you get to by double tapping here. And while I'm thinking about it, let me save this. I got a lot of projects because this is the same SD card that went into my MPC One. Okay. I might actually just copy this. So this is like my most basic version, and then I can iterate. Let's start with the shaker. So I'm probably going to do something very similar for the shaker that I did for the bass, where it does that kind of little undulating pattern. So let me go to the drum sequencer, and this one will be tied to volume. And copy all this. Awesome. And then give this something to give it a little more sauce. So what if we do a multi-tap? Yep, I don't mind that at all. This needs to be grittier somehow. Oh yeah, what about you? So that's D. Some kind of chorus on this might be kind of nice. So modulation. I mean, this is really fighting with that other bass, so this may or may not actually stick around. Ether, my crutch. See, I want motion, I think. That's kind of cool. Okay, I did not like that high end. That's better. So you know what I want to do at this point, actually? I'm going to go to the matrix again. Edit clip, and I'm going to double length with events to 2 bars. I'm going to do that again until I get to 8 bars. It's time to start thinking about a full pattern, I think. So then, at the very beginning of this, let me double check that I'm at the beginning. This guy gets a step. So what I want to do now is start trying to think in terms of percussion. Because what I like to do with a more techno-inspired thing like this is to do a bunch of little one-shots that all kind of form a patchwork melody or rhythm. So I'm going to dip back into my $5 sample pack because I cannot resist some shameless self-promotion. This guy used a lot. This guy, I think that's all from that I'll use. I will use that. So I'm going to go to a new bank here and then just keep adding stuff. So these are kind of fun. These are all like semi-randomized. So I'm just going to bring in something in hopes I can use just like little pieces. Like that's got some good one-shots kind of hiding in there. It's funny, I put these in a folder called Nearly Unusable because these are pretty chaotic. Like that's actually perfectly usable. First of all, let me copy this guy in case I want to use any more pieces of it later. So copy, bing, bing. I'm going to cut off that attack. And what I'm going to do, instead of just leaving the whole rest of this here, is I'm going to go to global. I'm going to go to this little button here, which will flatten the pad, basically exporting this into its own little sample with the effects baked in. And this, to me, obviously needs some delay and then some kind of reverb. So let me just go to the basic one and then my own preset again. And these are the settings, by the way, in case you want to steal them, like screenshot this. I'm actually going to turn down those high frequencies. And while I'm at it, tame that a little bit. Okay, that was a lot of work for one sound that I may or may not use. It's the spirit of experimentation, right? Oh, I really like that little guy. And then this is a one-shot is pretty good. So I don't always trust what it thinks these pitches are. Often it gets close enough to be a starting point, though. In this case, I'm inclined to use it. So let me just boil that down to only this. I find it helpful to have something like this to kind of anchor everything else. And now that I've got like a bit of a rhythm that sticks out, I can start to build around it. That's kind of neat. want to clean up both the high and low end here, so I usually just bring on this paraphonic EQ for that. Ether, because I can. I think this is still too loud. Oh, hold the phone. This is a technique I talked about in a previous video, actually a few previous videos, of using basically fuel I make for myself, which if you buy the sample pack, you have access to this as well, but this is something I made in my DAW where I just kind of enter a fugue state and start doing sound design semi at random, and it's a little bit based on like glitch plugin presets and all that, but it lets me lean on my sound design abilities without passing judgment, because I can find a use for this stuff later, maybe. And I like separating out the sound design and actual production sometimes. When I made this sound, I was like, well, it sounds like something, but I don't know if I have a use for it. It took me a while to get to the point that I found a use for it. Like, this has existed on the internet for a while before I actually found something that I personally would want to use it for. But as it is, I'm actually really vibing with that. That's kind of a neat texture. And that's the name of the game here, is like a bunch of these elements are really basic on their own, but once they all accumulate, it becomes something a little more fun to listen to. So let me think about this for a second, because I want to have some variety. I think this needs a reverb of a variety. Let me see about bringing out some extra grit in this guy. So I think I want this to kick in on the second half of this pattern. I really like that sound. That's really fun. Cut some lows. This is a pretty cliche pattern for me, but I'm going to go with it anyway because I just need to keep moving. I really like this sound. It's so satisfying. Okay, so as is tradition, I require a reverb and a delay. Okay, so this I want to have play at the end as like a lead-in to the loop, and so I think it might be better if I reverse it, make this note on, so I hold it down. And then give it, I mean, who are we kidding? Ether. And I want something that'll just kind of spread this sound out. Ooh. Why, yes, I would like to do that. And then I can cut some lows. Maybe a little upper mids. And I might actually pump that to the kick. Turn on the release. Turn down the depth. Also, I just realized that my little needs to change pitch. This was right, actually. And so that's going to mess with my tempo. So I am going to turn on Warp. So the BPM is 135. So that sounds a little bit messed up, but I can get context, it's okay. Yeah. I might actually resample that because it's not quite hitting at the timing I want. And the easiest way to get it to hit at the timing I want is just to move the note around myself. So here's what I'll do. Let me go back to the matrix, open up a blank clip, and have this be the only thing on it. And I'm going to extend that because I want a 2-bar rise and then an audio tail. The other thing I need is to get rid of the pumper. And in fact, let's do this. Let's have it start pretty much immediately because I can go to the sampler, change the input to resample left and right, arm it, and hit play. Let that ring out, and then hit stop. I can now kind of do whatever I want with this. So I want this to come in slowly. And then it needs to gain a reverb on top of all that. Actually, I think I like that as is. I think having it come in more slowly with the, like, after having rendered out the effects makes that work a lot better for me. I also think that I would like this to be pumped more aggressively. So not hold, but release. So I need some other kind of like bwah sound to hit for that second half. I also want to cut some more highs on this, so I'm just going to do this via a filter. Maybe even a filter envelope. I think I want to emphasize that bit crush or decimator element. Maybe not that much. Yeah, so to get a blah element, what I want to do rather than go searching for a sample is just to make one, kind of similar to that riser thingy that we just did. So let's go back to Arranger and finally start a new track with a plugin. I'm going to start a blank clip here and stop this one. And I actually am going to use Fabric for this because it's got some decent blah horns in it. So we're in the key of F minor. See, this was never meant to go this low, but like, could be fun if we make it sound different than it currently does. So my resample, left and right. This is something else I really like to do, and I liked to do it a lot on the MPC One as well, because you couldn't have as many plugins or processor-intensive effects. Is just resample anything and everything and then figure out what to do with it later. So let me just get rid of this for a second and go back to edit and keep browsing. What about with a bunch of delay? And sample it. Keep that, and let me find one more just in case I happen to need it. There's some choir stuff in here that I was having fun with. I want to make this sound almost like hyper real. Ooh, is this on? Yeah. Okay, what if we did this then? I need this to be borderline unnerving. I kind of like that. That's kind of neat. So what is my reverb on? I'm getting distracted right now, but like, that's half the fun of this. Ooh, yes. Okay, so at this point, I think this is going to be a permanent element that just sticks around. So I'm going to expand this. Just edit the end of this. There's like a painful frequency in here somewhere that I would like to tame. That will do for now. Let's do a ducker because this could play during like a breakdown and I want it to remain. So then you need to gain a ducker input. I'm going to bury it in the mix for now. This is getting a little messy, and I don't really know what to do about that, but I'm going to roll with it for now because I'm having fun. Ooh, we can mine this for more noises. Yeah, like that. That's kind of the beauty of this. Technique is that you get fun little accidents like that. That's kind of cool on its own, actually. And you can hear all that low end that I am going to promptly get rid of. And in fact, I can just filter out some high end here. That's easier, but less reverb. Okay, so I need to go find one of those bois, actually. That's hiding in here somewhere. Yep. I think I want to copy this again. Because that whoosh is loud, and then this bit is quiet. So let's just separate them. Okay, you get the idea. Even this could benefit from a compressor, I think. And then what about giving this some kind of delay? So I have this guy. I use this one a lot. So I need one more sound, I think. Oh, I wanted to use one of those ether presets earlier. I mean, if I just like compress it to hell and back. See how it sounds in context? I kind of want to supplement this with something because it's a little bit lonely. So I'm going to start a new plugin, I think. And while I'm thinking about it, save. So you cannot be that. You need to be a different plugin. You need to be Iona. Ooh. It's a nice sound. Have that cutoff bounce around a little bit. And then I'm going to go to the mixer. If you're wondering why I keep going back and forth between things so much, it's because I'm moving too fast. Partially because I'm like hyper aware of the fact that I'm on camera right now, and then partially because I have a bunch of caffeine in me. It is markedly better to the point that I actually need to modify this guy. Yeah. Okay, so we've got options. I want to copy this, paste this, keep that as like a reserve, because I actually really like that. Wow. But I think what I want is for it to only do that every 4 bars, and so then these go back to being really short and stabby. Stabby stab for stabby stabbing. Okay, and then while I'm thinking about it, there's a step in here where I want this to be at a lower velocity, so it goes pew pew. Yeah, that's very nice. So we're gonna get rid of that other iteration because I no longer require it. Okay, let's do this. I have a thing I would like to try. So I'm gonna copy this whole damn thing. I'm gonna paste it. I'm gonna quickly make some modifications. This is gonna be a breakdown, I think. So the way I like to do this is just select the entire thing, cuts. So I'm gonna get rid of most of these fills, actually, if not all of them. This becomes a breakdown of some variety. And I'm gonna have the bass do something other than just one note being spammed repeatedly. So I want Jura, some kind of bass. That's pretty close. I'm gonna come back to that because this is currently a cul-de-sac, I think. Because what I want to do for this drop bit is add an ARP. I need to mess with that oscillator a bit though. Something about that ain't right for me. It's a little better. I don't like how spiky it is. Nope. Oh, no wonder it's like really high. No wonder I'm not vibing with it. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I mean, this is also like horrifically dry. That's a lot more my speed. So this can kind of just go and do its own thing for a while. Raise the cutoff. And there's probably a world where I tame this percussion track. In fact, let me do this. Let me insert a new row and start carving away at this. So stop everything for a second. It's a little too busy. And also when I start thinking, oh, I've got too many layers. Oh no, that's a huge problem. That means that I've got like some nice variation. So it's no bad thing really. So this stays. So this goes. That goes, perchance. So then everything together, let's hear how that sounds. So then this. Okay, so here's the fun part. I can now graft this into the breakdown. And have it play something else. So I'm actually just gonna delete this and create a new one. And that will drive what my bass line ends up being. Ooh, so the timing of that's all kinds of wonky. So I actually want these to be separate so it re-triggers. So I probably need to change that bass note to whatever this is. I'm just going to copy it because that's easiest. And I said it was A sharp. So that sounds a little bit stupid, but that's probably okay. So you go to the other note. So then this guy, I think this is already 8 bars. And it's monophonic, so I just did not have any clue what to do with that. So actually what I'll probably do is just straight up copy this, get rid of all the top notes, just so I have the bass. And then this needs to go down an octave. I need more filter movement, please. So I think I need another pad. And we can just copy these chords because they are in fact chords. So I've used this one a lot. How's that in context? That's pretty cool. I also need to mess with this for a second here because I want these notes to follow the bass. C sharp. So that drop sounds a little empty. I've got a couple ideas. So this pad may be the key to that. So what it needs though is an EQ to get rid of that low end. Boost some highs potentially. Put a ducker on it so it's only ducked during a drop. But then let's just have it hold down that one chord the entire time. I kind of wonder if a version of this bass might work. So actually, let me delete this real quick. I have an idea. Let's just duplicate this actually. I'm just gonna have that hold down the same note the whole damn time. I'm going somewhere with this, so bear with me for a moment, please. Keep. I'm going to only play this. And then I'm going to bring in that sample that I just recorded. I just need something to like fill this out, you know? And this is getting there. And then let it hold down the entire time. So this needs to get emphasized a lot more, I think. So I think I need to fill this out somehow a little bit more. So I think I need just something distorted that's a little higher up maybe. Not this, but something akin to it, perhaps. I'm gonna go hunting for sound. This may not be the ticket. Yeah, here we go. So how far can we push this? How stupid can we make it? Ooh, yes. But this is like very poised to just like take over everything in its path, so I gotta be careful. Okay, one more thing I wanna do. I'm gonna go to Q-Links, Project 2, and I'm gonna set up a custom Q-Link for that filter cutoff for my ARP. So that's plugin 4. So I'm gonna go to Q-Link, I'm on Project 2, Q-Link edit, select this one, and I can go track, plugin 4, edit, and I require cutoff. So let me check where that's parked at 35. So I'm gonna have that be my starting point because any lower and it'll be basically inaudible and that's not what I want. Q-Link edit. So start this at 35. When does it become tinny? Let's find out. About at 80%. It's about as high as I'd want to go. And we're back. I spent a bit of time off camera cleaning up a few things and structuring this song a bit further. So here's a quick rundown of what I did. I've beefed up the kick a bit by layering it with this, which is a kick that I've cut off the beginning of. And I have my original kick set to simultaneously play with this pad, which is this. So these always trigger together. I also spent a bit of time trying to get the mix to work and have elements fight less. And I realized it wasn't a mixing thing, it was a composition thing. So this element here was fighting with stuff like this. And so I ended up just cutting out this element and this element whenever other sound effects were playing. So they kind of dance around each other, and that cleaned things up a lot. I've added some sounds like this reverse and snare, and you'll hear that in a second, plus a little vocal sample thingy. This little keep it moving that I use sparingly because it's a little annoying if not used sparingly. And I've added a couple more things to my arpeggiator Q-Link. And I also just tweaked the patch a bit. For instance, I upped the envelope a little bit so that there's a bit more of a defined spike at the beginning of each synth trigger. The thing I added, though, is under the mixer. So if I go to this EQ and move the macro here, you can see two things happen. As I open up the cutoff, the output volume goes down and the high shelf gain goes down a little bit. So as I open up the cutoff, I am reducing its volume and harshness to keep it a little more even so that when the cutoff is down, it sticks out pretty well. And then when the cutoff is open, it doesn't stick out too much. I also added a little pre-drop section that you'll hear in a bit. And the rest is just like volume balancing, tweaking, processing, and sneaking in a couple more elements like this. So now that I've taken advantage of the flexibility of clips to move stuff around, copy and paste stuff, mix and match to build up a structure that I'm happy with, I want to jam this into the arranger so that I can have like a full song structure that I can then export. So let me show you how to do that because it's not immediately obvious. The arrange button here takes you to the like linear timeline, and I can record my clip and scene launching into here. So the first thing I need to do is check that there's nothing in here already. If there is, I can go to main and just start a new sequence and then like confirm that the tempo is correct and then record into that. And I could do this multiple times actually if I wanted to. There's nothing in this actual sequence. All that note data is stored in the clips, not in the sequence. So I can record into that sequence. Hopefully that makes sense. It's like needlessly confusing unless you've done it a few times. But basically what you need to know is that all my clips have sound in them and the sequence that's under the arrange button does not. So the first thing I need to do is make sure this sequence is long enough to store all the stuff I'm about to record into it. So I'm just going to make this 200 bars, even though I know that's overkill. And then a couple other things I need to do to prepare. I need to go to timing correct and turn it off. What this process is going to do is record everything into this timeline. So if timing correct is on, if you have like nudged any notes forward or backward deliberately off the grid, timing correct will move them right onto the grid, which in this case, I don't want. I've set everything the way I want it. So I turn timing correct off just when recording into the arranger. And this right here sets whether automation is read or written. So I'm going to turn that on. So now any knob turn that I do will be recorded as automation. So you have to be careful with this. And the second you're done recording automation, I would recommend like turning this right back to read so that automation will be heard, but any new knob movements you do won't record yet more automation. When I was first getting started with the MPC 1, I didn't know that. I didn't know that it would just continually keep writing automation until you toggled this off. And I had some seemingly very confusing and unpredictable behavior until I realized that. So before you record into the arranger or before you want to do any kind of automation, change this to right, but only then. So timing correct is off. Right is on. My cue links are set to bank 1, which is where my synth cutoff knob macro thingy is. So all I have to do now is triple check that my correct scene or row is ready to go. This right here is set to row launch. So these different buttons will launch the different rows. So to the arranger, hold down record, and I can start recording to arrangement. Everything I've been recording so far, I've been doing with overdub, and it goes to clip. Now I'm going to record to arrangement. So once I hit play, it'll start. So now, if I go to the arranger, you can see that all that note data lives in here. It was recorded onto this timeline. And I can see that this ends around bar 85, and I'm gonna store that in my brain for a second. So I'm gonna hold down save and go to audio mixdown, and I can export that. So I'm gonna put this on bar 85. I can also enter that manually, except I want it to ring out a little bit. So I'm just gonna put this at like 90. That's probably good enough. Then I can export it. And I've made sure my SD card is selected. I've got a dedicated exports folder, and that'll do its thing. And in fact, that exported version is what you just heard. I like layered that audio on top of this footage because I did a bit of mastering in post just to get it to really pop to show you what this can sound like in a finished state. If you'd like to see what went into the making of some more elaborate beats on the MPC Live III, I've got you covered up over here, and I'll be back with a new video in a little bit. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching.